So my name's Neil Myers. I'm the director of a documentary called Climb, which is unique for documentaries because it's about me, which makes it an awkward thing to do, very emotional, but it's a story of, I'm a triathlete, it's a story of an accident I had coming down a hill, nearly died, was in the hospital for a month, 4 months before I could ride again. But during the process I decided I was going to race again, and that would be the way I would get back to where I needed to be. So it's the story of that journey. So when you have a traumatic incident like this, especially one that was so dramatic, and you tell people the story, the first thing they say is, how are you even here? How did you live? And the next thing they say is, you really need to make a movie and tell this story. But I couldn't imagine making a documentary about myself. It just seemed weird, to be honest. And so that was a hard no. But then the hospital had a fundraiser, and we're in Santa Barbara, and there's a lot of wealthy people in Santa Barbara. And so they called and said, look, we get 75,000 people in our ER every year. We pick one every year when we do a story. Can we do it on you? And I said, of course. And so they did a short video, about 7 minutes. They showed it at the donor party. There's maybe 400 people there, and they absolutely went crazy. And what I saw was they were seeing the story of how their generosity was impacting the community. That somebody that was essentially on the side of the road, left for dead, could be brought back so spectacularly. And when I saw that, that evening I realized I can tell this story. It's not really about me. It's about 300 people that got me back to the finish line. It's about my family, as you mentioned earlier. It's about my love of cycling. It doesn't have to be about me. And that's what I decided. I want to be a documentary filmmaker eventually. I'm not going to get a better story than that. The biggest storytelling in the documentary is really my wife, because she was the first person there, and she was there with me every day through the recovery. And so it's a difficult thing to interview. First of all, we shot outside all the interviews, and it takes hours to set that up. And so we got it completely ready to go, and she looked absolutely wonderful. She was feeling great. And I said, tell me about that first day, and she burst into tears and cried for 30 minutes. And so it took a while to get to where she could tell the story without breaking down, because it's very emotional. And it was really, as our 5th day, it all came together. And when people see the film, universally they say she is the most interesting person in the film. And the question I'll get often is, how did you find people that were so articulate and so effortless? Well, you don't see all the work that goes into getting somebody there. So you're right. It's when you're interviewing family that it's a difficult thing. And making a documentary is an incredibly immersive experience. It's not something you just do a couple hours a day. You end up working 8, 10, 12-hour days sometimes, because it's hard to tell this story. For that, you need the support of your family. And in fact, my wife and my youngest son, who lives at home with us, we would go down almost every day and be down there in the editing suite for hours at a time. And we ultimately ended up making it as a trio. And we would have, if we're doing a scene and I liked it one way and the two of them liked it another, we always had a rule that 2 to 1, the 2 wins. So there are a lot of tough decisions we made that way. When I read about the Red Festival, I really liked everything about it. It just seems like you celebrate filmmaking. I love it in the name, excellence in directing. So I took a flyer. I thought this might be one that would appreciate this film, and it looked like that happened. So, and then when I found out that it was going to be screened in France, I made a film at really a very difficult time for filmmakers because of the pandemic. I'm very fortunate. I don't want to complain because we didn't get sick. It didn't hurt my business. But as a filmmaker, it meant that no one was coming to see your film. And it's been in 37 film festivals around the world. This is actually only the 2nd time it's been screened in person. And number one, the fact that it was going to be screened in person, I absolutely wanted to come. But on top of that, it's France. And as a cyclist, France is Mecca for cycling, and it's a part of your culture, and it just felt very much that I wanted to be here and be able to see an audience. Most of the people that hear the story are surprised to find out I'm still cycling. They think that would be dangerous and, can you even get back on the bike? But I have no memory of the accident, so I'm not afraid of it. But I'm also not stupid. And so I've made changes in how I do things. So the main thing is I never go around a curve at a speed at which, if there's a problem, I can't stop. So I'm way slower. My main ride used to take maybe 9 minutes to go top to bottom. It takes me 25 minutes now. So a lot of my friends in Santa Barbara knew about the accident, and they talk about Neil speed, my name being Neil. That's kind of a new thing in town for people to go slow, so I feel good about that. So in terms of cycling, still doing it, but I don't race, because when you're racing, you're supposed to go fast, and I finally realized I don't really care about the medals. I like cycling, so I do it now just for myself. In terms of a filmmaker, I absolutely want to make films going forward. What I learned this time was this is really hard, and it's not something you can do if you have a full-time job, which I do. So until I'm retired, what we're going to do is just make little stories, maybe 5 or 10 minute, just so I can keep my craft and learn some more, but nothing as big as this for a while.